Okay, so I'll adjust this. Okay, so I am live now, and we'll just wait for a couple people to show up. I know that I didn't do a kind of a big notice about doing this, so wouldn't be surprised if it takes a little time for people to get here. Okay, one of the things that's interesting about where I live, because as many of you all know, I live in the South. And we are on Christmas Eve, and tomorrow's Christmas Day, of course. And the temperature is unseasonably warm, even for December. I was talking to my friend in California, and his is about right. Ours, we hit 80 degrees today, and it will be at least 80 degrees tomorrow. So we are unseasonably warm for December. So Merry Christmas and ho 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 to that. All right. So some preliminary things. One is that, ah, thank you, Mercedes. Merry Christmas to you too. Uh, one thing I want to mention before we get started is that I did around right after Thanksgiving. I discounted my Etsy store for my attunements, the spiritual connections to the spirits, where you can use their energy for magic. So we had a random kind of got some couple messages that people were like, well, I was wrapped up in the holidays, Thanksgiving and stuff, and I missed the your little sale. So can you do it again? So I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. So from now until the end of Christmas weekend, which is the end would be the end of Sunday, my store, all the products, the attunements are going to be 18% off. And Merry Christmas to you too. So if you want to take advantage of that, feel free. If you want to check out the store, cool. I'll put a link in the description if you want to just favorite it and just kind of save it in case you want to go ahead and look at it next time. That's cool. Also, I just put a new Patreon video for those of y'all who are part of my Patreon family. So check that out. So on to what I kind of wanted to talk about. Well, I kind of wanted to review a few things. And also for people that are watching, if they had any questions about previous videos, I want to give everyone an opportunity to do that because we don't always have this type of forum. And I always think, okay, so what if people had any type of questions or comments and they didn't get addressed? So that's another reason why we do these videos. So the first one, I think I covered the last live chat, the one about the entity, which was the well-documented paranormal case about the woman who was sexually assaulted by spirits, and then they had a lot of stuff going on in their house. They had really good footage of orb and an orb transforming into a torso and all these different types of things. I think I covered that in the last one. Happy holidays, Trinity. So that is a well-documented case. I think it was in the mid 70s. I think they kind of were investigating that for a few months. That was in 1974. But they made it into a movie called The Entity with Barbara Hershey. You might be able to get that on maybe Amazon as kind of a paid movie. I don't think it's free. So there was that. The second one was the Ents, ENNS, that which are the chants to honor and conjure and connect with demons. And I kind of talked a little bit about that, how it's almost kind of like the chanting of in Tibetan Buddhism. And this would be, in connection with, if you wanted to use your sigil, or if you just want to kind of do that on your own. It's kind of a neat little thing to do because some of us are auditory, like those people who really like music and or hear, the nuances of speech. Chanting is something that those type of people really connect with. So it kind of gives people who do magic and do spirit communications an actual medium to do that. The next video I did was coffee as a spirit offering. So I talked about the history of coffee, how it has its place in early, especially in uh, this in the religion of Islam, where you had a lot of the holy men and the Sufis, the mystics, who were using it to help with their fast because the caffeine would cut their cravings for food. It would help them stay awake all night for chanting, saying the names of God, all those types of spiritual practices. And the coffee is really good as an offering. I talked a little bit about how it's kind of a universal beverage. More people drink coffee than even alcohol. And if you remember some of your relatives who have passed on, many of them have drank coffee and probably their fathers and stuff. Coffee goes back at least until like the 14th century. And there are stories about how that came to be. Some of it is legendary about animals somehow consuming the coffee fruit plant and acting energetic and erratic, and people noticing and saying, "Hey, let me try that. Let me put that in my mouth," right? And then coffee was born. Economies are credited to have been flourishing, at that time because of coffee. When you have people like workers who are working longer, working harder, and able to do more, and the employers were like, "Yeah, we got something here. I can work harder, and so can my workers. So let's keep indulging in this." The last one, I had to think about what that was about being careful about touching the unseen. And I don't mean like, touching, like touch. I mean kind of metaphorically. When you are communicating with spirits, or if you think of people as having a spirit within them, that there is a transfer of intelligence, information, and that we go through that affected in some way, and it may be a good way, possibly a bad way, uh, depending on how you judge what's happening. But that over time, if you find yourself interacting with the dark spirits or with people of a certain nature, that without some of that energy clinging to you and being addressed, you could start to resonate and harmonize with that energy and start to subtly and incrementally turn more into those types of energies. There could be a slight change of personality, slight at first, and over time, maybe even years, there could be major changes. So what I was talking about in the video was that if you see this happening, be aware of it and do your healing work. If you need to make adjustments to what you do, who you hang out with, all that type of stuff, then that would be something to really take into account. Have you ever heard someone say, "Well, you just don't seem the same anymore," and it wasn't like a good, it wasn't a compliment. It was actually something possibly pejorative. Maybe you started when you were young, hanging around a different crowd, and some of their habits started. When people are raging customers, I'm in awe. Yeah. Uh, and you might have developed habits from being around these sorts of people. a lot of it's group behavior, you know? If you think about society, the rich people hang around with the rich people, and the poor people tend to hang around other people with their level of income, and it's like a contagion. So, same thing happens with our energy in our energy field. So, so that was the last video I did. So, what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm only going to talk about it briefly, I'm not going to be in here too long, since this is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day is tomorrow, that Christianity is a religion of light, and this is a Christian holiday. It's marking the birth of Jesus. If you look at the Gospel of John, they talk about um, Jesus said, "I'm a light in the world," or they talk about that light was in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome the light. They talk about Jesus and Christianity in this light type of terms, and that's wonderful, of course. And yet, when there is a lot of light, the other side of the coin is that there is the activation of darkness. So if you find yourself during your Christmas and everybody's supposed to be cheery and happy and giving and very responsive to other people, and you find that you feel like crap, this is the shadow side of that holiday. And I don't think many people are aware of it. So, if it's kind of funny, this is a religion of light, and Jesus is light, supposedly. And yet, December 25th, the celebration of the holiday, is very close on the edge of December 21st. What is December 21st? It's the longest night of the year. It's the most darkness that there is. And that's, like I said, the other side of the coin. There is supposed to be the spirit of giving during this holidays. So that would be the positive, good quality. Okay. Then there is a lot of consumerism, which is the shadow. So much consumerism that people often go into tremendous debt during Christmas time, racking up that credit card debt. And there's not much more stressful than financial stress. So there's that. There is family, spending time with family and feeling the joy of that. Then there is the second cousin or the brother-in-law you got to spend time with that you really dislike, who's making snide comments, same ones he made in Thanksgiving. So there is this tension. There's also this stirring. There is life, as in the holiday, Jesus and Christianity. Then there is the sadness over the death of the people that are no longer with us during the holidays. There is consumption, there is eating, and there's drinking. Then there is a lot of times people overeating and over drinking. So I kind of want, when we're talking about Christmas and we're talking about the holidays, there is, like I said, yeah. Whenever there is light, there's going to be darkness. And we wouldn't be, and we're talking, because this is the shadow side. There are shadow sides to people, of course, and there are shadow sides to events and even cultures. And there is one for Christmas. So if you don't feel quite right, or you're not feeling the holidays, that's perfectly okay. You certainly don't have to, and you can just, just be yourself and try not to. Of course, we can always have our feelings, but we try not to be destructive or cause too much trouble. The other part of the giving part, the shadow part of the giving, of course, I said about the consumerism and the spending of money. Then there is one of the things that I really dislike about Christmas, and that is the traffic, because people feel obligated to go out and buy a whole bunch of things for other people. And the traffic is not only heavy, but you have drivers who are driving erratically and being dangerous. The dark side of Christmas again. There's just the general stress that goes with the holidays, and it just seems to be part of it. So, what do you all think? Anybody have any comments or questions about what I've been talking about? Now, when we think about Halloween, I actually think Halloween is more balanced. It's the only real holiday that we have that celebrates the shadow. Think about it, you know? We can dress up, we can be different than what we normally are, who we normally are, who we project as the persona, and the shadow is the opposite of that. But it's really the only holiday where there is a little bit of darkness. So I actually think that that's healthy, and I'm a little slightly suspicious of people who like are afraid of Halloween or who don't like it because of religious reasons. It's like you don't want to acknowledge that other side of things, or maybe that other side of things you're too afraid of it. So when I see people dressing up and having fun for Halloween and just having a blast and being monsters and vampires and doing all these sorts of things, I think that it could be cathartic and could be very therapeutic. Because we need both. We need the light and we need the darkness. Okay, folks. Well, I want to thank you for listening. Oh, thanks so much, Bon the Devotee. I appreciate that. I try to add not only magic, but a little bit of psychology and other things I think would be helpful. Because I think it's all connected. Sane. Yeah, I definitely try to be. Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, so if y'all want to check the... Yeah, thank you very much, GK. I'm going to put the links, as always, in the description. Again, I'm having that, putting that temporary discount because people were wanting it for the attunements in the attunement store. If you want to check it out, that's cool. If you want to check out Patreon, I just put the second part of that video that I mentioned. I mentioned the coffee video as a spirit offering. You too, Trinity. Thanks so much. I'm putting a second part of that original video, coffee, as a spirit offering. So it's a coffee as a spirit offering too on Patreon if you wanted to be a member and subscribe and do all that. So in any case, folks, thank you for spending your Christmas Eve with me, giving me a little bit of your time. All right, I will talk to you soon, and hope to see you in a future video. All right, take care. Bye-bye.